In the last fly tying video in my Trout Fly series, I tied up a nymphal representation of an Ephemera danica, commonly known as a green drake. So the Ephemera danica is one of three, certainly in the UK, as far as the Ephemeridae family is concerned. There is Vulgata and Lineatus, but certainly from a distribution standpoint in the UK, the Ephemera danica is going to be your most common. So whenever most people look at a mayfly, they'll typically be looking at an Ephemera danica within the UK. Now, the last pattern I tied up in the series was a nymphal representation, and before I make my way up to the surface film and tie up some patterns that are there to represent the emerging stage of this life cycle, I wanted to tie up a traditional wet fly. So what you see in the vise is a traditional wet fly mayfly pattern. It is a French Partridge Mayfly. So I hope you like the pattern, I hope you like the video. Let's go on the fly tying, and then at a later date we'll continue on with the mayfly life cycle, get to the surface film, and then we'll look at some patterns to represent the insect going through the surface film, and obviously as a hatched adult. So hope you like the pattern. Let's go on the fly tying. The hook in the vise is a Fario FBL 301 size 10, and the thread I'm using is Vivis dark brown in 12/0. I like to start the thread just behind the hook eye, take off that tag section, I'll just work the thread wraps down to where that bend starts to kick in a bit. For the tail, I'm using cock pheasant tail fibres. So I use 4 or 5 fibres. I like to have a upward curvature to the tail. So I'll measure it out to around about 2 lengths of the hook shank. I'll just catch it on top. I'm not worried if it's not quite perfect, the tail at this point. As long as I've got that curvature, I'm happy. For the wire, I'm using Simplify 0.2mm gold. Trap that in, like so. The body, I'm using Simplify synthetic, so it's a Swiss straw synthetic raffia in cream. Now, I do soak this like I would do with natural raffia, but whether or not that actually makes a big difference, I'm not entirely sure. I just prefer to do it. I think it makes it somewhat less brittle. Right, and just catch all that in. Now, I like to just quickly open my thread. That way I can build in a nice subtle little taper to the body. A few extra turns for the rotary function of the vise. Now the first wrap I go really flush up against the base where the tail is, and then I add nice kind of touching or overlapping turns all the way up like so. And then catch that in, a few turns like that, and then just nip off the excess. Now for the body hackle, I'm using dyed olive Indian cock hackle, so nothing fancy there. Just going to trap that in, like so. I like to go one full turn at least, right with the top there, and then I'll go in open non-touching turns, nice and evenly spaced. Like so. Get to the bottom of the hook shank, hold it up, catch it in with the wire. And then just catch a hackle in and work that up. Nice even turns. Pull the fibres back, catch the wire in, just work it up towards the hook height, like so. Helicopter that off, just trim that old tag section off, and I'll start to look something along the lines of that. As the name suggests, we're using French Partridge for the head hackle. Pull those fibres back so I can catch this in. And I'll simply catch that in. Just going to wet those fibres with the French Partridge, peel them back. Keep wetting them, peeling them back as I work. So you're not going to need too many wraps of this. Just want to get that. Just one little fibre kicking forward. So you're only going to get a couple of turns out of the feather. 2 or 3 is more than enough. I was going to use the rotary function there so I can catch that in. Kick that forward. Gather those fibres back. Pull those fibres back and just kick that forward. So I'm catching it with the leaning forward like so. Just a little bit more thread into, a little more wax into the thread. A few turns in, and I'm just going to keep that under pressure, under tension. Now, this might move a bit, so I might have to readjust the focus on the vise, but if I can, hopefully this comes off nice and neat. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes I've got to use my scissors, but see if it comes off. There you go. Quite quick finish, and snip that off, check the tails where I want it. I like to just do a quick ping, just helps settle the fibres down in a nice position. A few coats of varnish and we're good to go. Hope you've enjoyed that.